Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, The Intersection. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a drop-down list in a ASP.NET web application. And I will show you how to display the selected item from the drop-down list and add item and remove item to the drop-down list. Now this adding and removing items, this here and this, we were going to be doing that dynamically. So we're going to do that dynamically. But at the beginning, I will show you how to create static drop-down list. So the listed will be already on the drop-down list. The list will be already on the drop-down list, so you can select it. This here will help you with your second lab. Where you have to do the interest rate and select the calculated interest rate or the years. So this will be the static way. This here will help you later on in your if you created a database. When we create a database and we want to add items or remove items, add items to the database and remove items from the database using the drop-down list. So let's start. I'm using Visual Studio 2022 and I'm going to start from the beginning because I still get some students asking me how to create the project. So I'm going to click Create New Project and then make sure that you're selecting from the languages C#. These doesn't really matter at your level now, and then look for ASP.NET Web Applications. That's what we are using in this class, and make sure it's highlighted, and then the first item here, ASP.NET Web Application, highlighted, and then click Next. And then I am going to give my solution name first before I do the project, because if I name the project, the solution will be the same name. So let's call this topic drop-down list, and then the project using drop-down list, and then click Create, and then make sure it's empty, and then make sure you select or check Web Forms, and then click Create. Once we're there, then now let's just make this a little bit smaller so we can see it on the video. Yay, big. All right. Now I'm going to right click on the project and add new item. And then out of the new item, make sure it's the web is selected here so you can see this menu, the general menu here, and click Web Form. And let's give this a different name, index.aspx, and click Add. Once we're here, now I can create my drop-down list. In your tutorial on the eLearn, you were asked to create a paragraph, or it doesn't really matter. But what matters to us is to get the toolbox. So I'm going to hold Control-Alt-X, and here's my standard tools. I need the standard tools, and the what I want is a drop-down list. There's also list item. I believe it's this. It works the same thing. List item works the same way. The drop-down list. So I'm going to drag it here. Then I'm going to close my toolbox and drag this a little bit. I'm going to close my Solution Explorer and my property window there. And here's my drop-down list. And here is what the list items go inside. The list items itself, they go within the drop-down lists tags, the drop-down list tag. If I go to the design, here's what the drop-down list look like. I can right-click and go to the. Let me just not right-click. If I right-click, you won't see the menu there. So let me do F4. That's the property windows. So here we go, F4, and I'm gonna drag F4, the property, drag it right here so you can better view it and see it. Oops. And I am going to check the drop-down list this way, and here's my drop-down list, and the name is, you can change it. Okay, let's see, drop-down instead of drop down list, let's do it DDL for drop down list, and let's see, or let's use the lowercase DDL cities. So that's my drop down list. It's called DDL cities, and I'm not concerned with anything yet. So I'm going to close that property. So I want to add my list items. I can do that here on the source, but let me show you doing it in the design view. So if I click here, and I have to choose a data source that will do that maybe at the end of the semester or close to the end of the semester when we start creating databases, or I can edit items. That's the static way. I'll add these items the static way, and then enable auto post back. That will help us when we design database or when we design dynamic drop down list. So let's add them statically. Edit item, and here is the list item collection. So if I click add, let me make the first one here to say select a city. I don't want to do any value for it because that's the value that we're going to get using the C#. So I'm going to add that. Oops, I meant to click add. Okay, so let's add one more time, one more, and let's see the first city. And my first city is Baku. It's the capital of Azerbaijan, and the value is Baku. I'm going to add another one, Tripoli, my favorite capital. That's the capital of the country, Libya. And let's add another. Let's have a value for it, Tripoli. Now I'm going to click add. Let's add my other favorite city is Ankara, and the value is Ankara. Let's add more. Let's add Beirut, another beautiful capital, and the value is Beirut. And let's add one more. The one more is Rabat. And I haven't enabled anyone to be my first choice because in this case, I have select a city container here. Okay, again, there's no value for the city because that's what I'm going to check if it's null value. So when I'm going to click OK. Now watch when I come here. Here's how you add in the drop down list. Now if I view this, if I view it in the browser, this is what it looks like. So what I want is when I select a city, I should display the value of that city, and maybe a label box or something like that. Okay, so let's do that. So we go back to our design here, and let's go to the toolbox, Control Alt X, and what I want to add is a label, and this label should not have anything. Well, it should have. All right, let's see. It should not have anything. So I'll just make it no text on it. And let's call this LBL display. And let's put that underneath our drop down list. Let's add a button. Let's just do the button right here. Here's our button. Let's go to the property of the button. And let's see. We type display favorite capital. So that's our button. Let's add one more space here. So idea is I am going to select a city and then display it in the label box. So now we're going to code the button. I can do it this way. I can double click on it, or I can go to the property. Let's go to the property this way so you can see what I'm doing. Go to the property this way and select the button. Here's our button. Okay, and then you can go to the action events, and the first event here is a click event. So if you double click on that, you go to it. That's one way to do it. I'll show you the other way of doing it on the other one, on the other buttons when we create it. And so here we go. Let's see. I want to every time I select a value, it will be displayed. Let's see if I do if statement here, and if after if we always have another choice, which is the else. Let's say that you haven't selected a value, then we want to display on that label. So let's assume on this block, if you did not make any selection, then you'll get a message saying that, hey, you need to make a selection here. So I think we displayed our label display, LBL display dot text, and then the message will be, please make a selection. Now, this condition based on what? Based on the Boolean value that we are going to put it right here in the if statement. So that the Boolean is based on the DDL, I believe we named it DDL cities. That's the drop-down list dot. So there is a selected value method. All right, if that selected value method is null, then that's what you display, saying, hey, please make a selection. Now, and here is if the person selects the value, then we need to display that value. So it's going to be DDL city dot selected value. So let's test this. Now I'm not on the HTML page, so which is the index.isbx. In this case, if I want to display, the only way I can do it, debug, and then start without debugging. Now if I come right here and select Ankara, then here's Ankara. If I come here and select Baku, the capital city of Azerbaijan, then I do that. If I select Tripoli, the capital of Libya, then I can do that. If I select Rabat, then I can do that. I can show it. So this is how you display values on display in the drop-down list. Now these values here, by default, the drop-down list is a string. So this can be an interest rate, can be a number. It can be like, this can be the 7%, or the 5%, or the 6%, or the 20 years. It can be 20 or 10 years or 15 years. And then you convert them from being a text or caption as a text to a to make them a number. So that's the conversion factor there. There's a format, how to format them from string, so you can use them in your calculations, and then you can utilize them in your project. So this is how you create and add a drop-down list. Now I promise that on this video I am going to do the add and remove, but it's getting too long, so I'll do this in part 2. So this will be a part 1, getting the drop-down list static. Part 2 will be the adding and removing dynamically. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel to get the updates.